You know, it's early July here in Wisconsin, and I'm standing on a beautiful piece of property with no structure at all. I just got done finishing showing this property to a prospective buyer who's considering buying their first piece of hunting ground and putting a cabin on it. I thought this was a great opportunity to talk to you about the quality of structures that might be on the property that you're looking at and how that affects the future saleability of that property after you've owned it and it's time to turn over. If you're considering buying a property that has a structure on it, or you're thinking you're going to build one yourself, here are some things that you need to consider before you build. I hope you enjoy this video. You're watching The American Landman. You know, there's a wide range of the types of structures that you can either purchase on a property or perhaps build for yourself. And there's a couple things you want to think about. So let's start off with the largest mega buildings. What I see with this type of property is this is somebody's dream. You know, they planned this out, they went to an architect, they picked the beautiful views, they built this forever home. It's large, fireplace, it's got their trophies and pool tables and game rooms. It has forced air heating and wood heat and in-floor heat, and it's just this beautiful structure on a beautiful site. Definitely any guy worth his salt is gonna love this property. But when you build your dream, you have to realize that it's not the next buyer's dream. It's not the next guy's dream. And that's going to make it a little bit more difficult to sell. It's not to say that you can't sell this property and you can't find the perfect buyer, but I think it's definitely going to take a longer search time because you're basically selling your dream to the next guy. And when you do that, the timeline to sell that property is much, much longer. It's typically going to be more expensive. It's going to have special qualities that you found favorable, but they may not. So if you own property and you're thinking of building a mega structure, you need to take that into consideration. And if you're looking to buy a property with a mega build on it, think about the next guy that you're going to sell that property to because it definitely will affect the timeline. So the next level of the spectrum is kind of that middle ground. We're talking properties maybe in the $250,000 to $350,000 total purchase and buildings included. When I see these buildings, they're, cabins in the 1,500 square foot, 2,000 square foot range. They might have forced air, a couple bedrooms and bathrooms, maybe in-floor heat, maybe a wood burning stove, but they've been well maintained. They're easily maintained and they're not overly built. They're just that perfect little cabin that when you drive up to it, you go, this is what I'm looking at. And these properties are easy to sell and they turn over fairly quickly and they're just in that sweet spot, $250,000 to $350,000 that most guys can afford. So if you're buying your first property, that's what you want to look for. And if you own a property and you're building, that's where you want to be. It appeals to the most people that can afford a property, that are looking for a property, and they'll be sold the quickest. So modest is always the best policy. And the final build is a small cabin. It might be anything from a mobile home up to a almost like a garage package bunkhouse style property. It probably doesn't have indoor plumbing. It might have an outhouse. It might not have running water. It doesn't have a shower. It's just a weekend type property. The guys come up, bring their stuff, they hunt for a couple days and they go home. These types of properties are fairly inexpensive. What I typically see are those mobile sheds that somebody brings out and parks on a property, or a mobile home perhaps, or even like a fifth wheel type trailer type operation. They're very adequate, but they don't hold a lot of value. And a lot of folks can afford these properties, but they're only going to last a few years. And it's something you got to take into consideration. So if you're looking at this type of property and you're a buyer, you're going to have to realize that this isn't your forever home. And as the years go by, it will become less and less valuable. And eventually when you turn over, you're probably not going to get any value for the existing structure at all. If you're a seller and you're putting something like that on a property, I'm not going to be able to give you a ton of value for that. And if I had to pick a number, it'd probably be less than $25,000 in value added on to the land sale price. So 3 levels of structures. A trailer, a very modest or small shed, a modest cabin, maybe 15 to 2,000 square feet, up to a mega cabin with thousands of square foot and all the amenities of a nice, beautiful home. Hey, I hope you found this interesting. Just be aware of the structure. It can affect the price. When you're out looking for property, keep those things in mind. Hey, I'm Neil Hogger, and I'm a land specialist with Whitetail Properties Real Estate. I'd like to be your guy in the land business. I hope you enjoyed this episode. You've been watching The American Landman.